Hi, James.
What's the mood like at the moment in the camp heading to this game against Brentford? Obviously, despite the semi-final defeat, there were plenty of positives from the match, the semi-final match, especially in the second leg.
Yeah, look, we realised, look, it was a real good effort, in the cup, and obviously over the two legs we really did take a top side right to the wire. So that's the real positive. Now we get back to league action. So look, we know now what we have to do. We've got a month of pure league action before obviously the cup, but our priority is the league, and we've got to make sure now that we start getting points and we start getting above that line.
Positive signs for you as well to take into those important Premier League matches that are coming up as well, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Look, performance levels have been good. Performance levels have been there. They've been improving. They've been steadily. There's a real sort of balance in the performance levels. It's just now we need to get results, because that's the only thing lacking really, and that's the be all and end all now. But performance levels are there, so now we have to demand a little bit more in terms of getting over that finish line, in terms of after 90 minutes being in front.
And looking ahead to that match against Brentford tomorrow, will Southampton fans get a chance to see some of those deadline day signings in action?
Well, we're unsure yet, because I said it's all about work permits and stuff like that. So look, I can't say too much yet, but hopefully in the not too distant future we will see them.
So neither of the two new signings were in training today at all?
Look, they're in the building, but it's just limited in what we can do with them because of the work permit situation.
Okay. And there's a small chance then that maybe one of them could be involved in the squad tomorrow.
Look, you're better off ringing the Home Office, I think. But as I said, you can keep on asking, and until we get clarification on a work permit, then neither will be involved.
Fair enough. Okay, so another difficult test tomorrow against Brentford. How will you look to exploit them, and are you looking to make any changes of shape or anything? How are you looking at that match tomorrow?
Look, tomorrow we'll have to go. We want to go as strong as we can now. Look, we've changed, and in terms of getting the freshest, most physical side on the pitch that we can be in the games. Now it's Saturday, so now we have to go as strong as we possibly can, and in terms of not looking after anyone in terms of looking at the next game or anything. Now it's just solely about picking the best team and picking the team to try and get a result.
And is anyone, any significant injuries, any absentees ahead of the game?
No, look, we've got a real squad, obviously. Stuart Armstrong and Juan Larios are closer. The rest, those who need minutes, will get minutes today, and then we'll have a full squad to go to tomorrow.
Great. And just one last question from me. We've been asking Premier League managers about transfer spending in January and the sums that have been involved. Well, Chelsea, as we know, spent over £500 million this season. Can I get your thoughts on that? For many clubs like yourselves, it's impossible to compete with those sort of numbers. It must be quite difficult to sort of comprehend how much spending a club like Chelsea have done.
Well, look, I don't really want to comment on Chelsea spending in terms of anything. All I want to do is look, what did we do in the window? Did we do good business? And all I can do is thank my board and thank the owners here, because they've backed me in the window. We've signed striker, two wide ones in terms of potency. We've signed someone that I trust. And then we've bought, Yanni B back, and obviously bought a young midfielder. So we've strengthened in every department. So all I can do is thank my board for what they've done. Now, okay, compared to other people, we haven't spent as much, but compared to others, we've spent a little bit more. So it's the way of the world. I'm not going to comment on Chelsea or anything else. Why would Samsung comment on Apple or anything like that? It's the market and what happens, And here I'm very happy with the business we've done, and I thank the board for backing me, one, with my choices, and two, with what we needed to get these over the line, and that's all I'm worried about.
And that word you've used a lot in press conferences as well, potency. These two new lads, especially that came through on deadline day, did they give you that, do you think? And that could be maybe the difference between staying up or going down?
Absolutely. We recognised areas that we needed, in terms of things. We recognised a little bit of experience we needed, so we brought Yanni B back. We needed competition and a little bit of size in the wide areas in terms of fullbacks, and someone that gives us a little bit more orthodox. We've got some wonderful fullbacks here, and this just adds to the quality. We're always looking at the future, so Carlos is a top midfielder for the future. He'll play his part now, but he's definitely one for the future. And then we've added three that will give us real potency in terms of Orsic, who's gathering momentum, then Kamaldeen and Paul. So, we've really strengthened the squad, and I'm really happy with that. My problem now is picking the squad.
That flexibility it must give you as well, though, right? The amount of players that you brought in terms of formations and stuff like that. Obviously, you play back five in midweek, and these players, does it give you a chance to sort of play different systems now and gives you more options, as well?
Well, it does. We've got real balance in the squad, and that's what we're doing. Every place I've been to, I've always left the squad in a better place than I found it in terms of our recruitment, because we don't just recruit, yes, specifically for what we need, but there's also balance so that whatever happens, there's never an overhaul of a squad, and we make sure that the squad every single window is better than when we found it at the start, and that's always the case. And this squad now is much stronger, more potent, more athletic than at the beginning of January.
Great, thanks, Nathan.
Well, how's Kyle Walker-Peters and his hamstring?
Look, it was a precaution. We brought him off. It's a tight hamstring. He's played a lot of games. He's played a lot of minutes, high speed in terms of stuff he does. So you got to look after him. So we didn't take any precautions with him and stuff. It wasn't a pull or anything. So that's a good thing. Whether we start him tomorrow is another thing.
And in the B team today, you got Belakocap, Shaleta, Orsic, Gineppo all starting. Does that rule them out tomorrow?
Not necessarily, but they need minutes is what they need. Duje obviously has been playing well, but has missed games. Missed the last sort of week and a half. The last game time he played was Newcastle, so he'd have missed the last week and a half in terms of games. So we want him to maintain rhythm, because he hasn't had that prior to us coming in. Then Gineppo is just minutes, Orsic is just minutes, and then Belakocap's coming back from injury. So he played against Blackpool, but he had 2 days training. 2 days training, then played in an FA Cup game against a Championship side. Did fantastically well, to be able to do that. And then all we want to do now is add minutes, because at the end of this weekend, then we pretty much have got a full squad up to speed.
With Paul's arrival, have you seen any extra spring in the step of Joe Aribo with them being international teammates?
Well, he's only been in the building for an hour or so, I didn't see Joe skipping, but as I said, look, he's only just been in the building. In terms of being a whirlwind for him, obviously, it's incredible how they go to the wire, because we didn't just register or put bids in on Tuesday on deadline day. They've been in for a while, but as it is, we'd have liked to have done it a lot sooner, so we could have got him in sooner, and he could have, had a real good week with us and stuff. But such is the thing. So I'm sure we will, see everyone with, once you see competition, once you see new faces, it does give everyone a lift, and that's what we hope this does. Plus, on the field, it gives us more potency.
With Joe, it's only 9 months since he was playing and starring in a Europa League final. You've not really seen that for Southampton much. How much potential talent, how much good stuff are you seeing from him?
I've tried to sign Joe at 2 places I was at. I tried to sign him at Luton when he was younger. I tried to sign him at Stoke when I was there. So I see a lot in Joe. I know Joe. I've known Joe for a long time in terms of from the Charlton Academy, from everything. So I know what Joe can do. Look, there's a difference when you step up, and there's a lot of new players here this year that may take a little bit of time. We always knew this was going to be a really difficult season in terms of the integration, but if we can get through this season, then we know that we've got players that will really hit the ground running next year, and that's the challenge this year.
And can I ask you about the back three, which you're asked about all the time? And I know there's a lot of I told you so's about it when it doesn't seem to work, and there seems to be a conviction among the fan base that for whatever reason that system doesn't work for these players at this club, whatever. Is there any sort of mental block within the squad, or are they taking to the different formation as well?
Well, we usually score when we play a back five, but somehow it is a mental block. But I don't think there is a mental block or anything. We pick systems. We have to be flexible, and it's just how we press, how we go about stuff, how we create. You look at most teams in the Premier League, whether they play a 4, they build in a 3. They play a back 3, they build in a 4. So you have to be flexible within systems, within games and whatever. And systems don't win games, personnel do. So if Man City played a back 3, do you think they'd struggle? I don't. So it's players and personnel that win games, not systems. But you have to be tactically astute, tactically aware. And it wasn't because we played a back 5 the other day that we conceded goals, because we didn't do the basics well enough, and then we got back into the game playing a back 5, and then with personnel that I brought on with Kyle Walker-Peters, we went to a 4. We were better second half, but I always anticipate us being better second half, because first 15-20 minutes we were poor.
Can I just ask you one about the next opponents? What makes Brentford so good, especially at home?
Continuity. They've been together as a group. They know what they're doing. They're very structured. They're very innovative. You know, there was a lot of parallels between Brentford and my previous club. You know, they weren't the model we emulated. We didn't try to emulate anyone, but there was similarities in terms of how they go about their work and so on. And they're a really difficult side to play against. Fantastic manager who's done really well. Players who have been there a long time, and then they've got good recruitment. So it all sort of looks like it's a really well run club, and that's exactly what it is.
Just to go on from that, why are they so good at playing that 3-5-2? You've talked to me about, once an aggressive 3-5-2, you want to beat them sometimes, not with a 5, it's a 3-5. They play a genuine 3-5. Everyone knows what they're going to do, but they're very effective. Is that because they are a well-oiled machine on the pitch and the players know each other well and everything?
Well, it's just time. You know, they've done that for a while. When they were in the Championship, they were 4-3-3. You know, and then they've gone and they've been adaptable, because under Thomas, first of all, they were 4 after inheriting from Dean, and I think he lost sort of 8 of his first 9 games or something like that, and then went to 3-4-3 and then were brilliant, were absolutely outstanding, then built and then got the playoffs, then finally got promoted, and then they've been excellent in terms of what they do. But they have good energy, they have good size, they have athleticism, they're aggressive, they know what they're doing, they're really astute from set plays because of size and power and things. So it's just they know what they do. Whatever system you work on, it's not a system, and like we can do whatever we want to keep everyone quiet. But at the end of the day, it's players that win you games. And if you and we have enough here to be able to play whatever system we want. There's a good balance to the squad now, so we can play whatever. But it's players that win your games, not necessarily systems.
And of course, you've got a lot of players now, with 5 coming in and nobody senior really going out, and Jan coming back. So is that actually now a difficult part of your job to be quite a big squad happy?
Yeah, it absolutely is, and we've touched on that today, because we've got to try and keep that aggression and that mentality in training, and we can't let anyone's head drop, because there'll be 1 or 2 that'll be out of the squad. But then we have to have that competition. That's when you look then to the group, because if you have a good group that's focused on doing pulling in the right direction, then it doesn't matter if you don't play. Then you have to show some humility and show some real good character, and then get on with it. And that's what we're going to need. But that's up to me to manage that and to make sure that I communicate and I pick the right things, and then I demand from the players, and then we pick the right 11, because it's the toughest part of the job now.
Just finally, on this block, and you said that the cup game's out of the way now for a while. You've got the 4 matches. Are you going to work in a block? I know some managers I've spoken to always worked in blocks of games and looked at how many points they think they should get. Are you a bit like that? Is that how you look at this now? 4 games ago, we need whatever points, 6, 8, whatever it is, and give the players that as a target.
No, we work in blocks of 6 in terms of everything we do, and evaluate that and what we've done well, what we've done, what we haven't done well. It's the final block of 6 tomorrow, so we needed more points. We haven't gotten as much points as we should have got. Or definitely would have liked. So it's about getting points now, but then over these blocks, making sure that we come out of them stronger than in a stronger position every single block. Because if we do that, then we'll be mission accomplished. But it's not like setting the target, because it's very difficult in any league, let alone the Premier League, to go, well, okay, we should beat these, but we'll maybe not beat, because you have to put in performances week in, week out, and I said you can be unlucky with a call, you can be unlucky with something, or you can be very lucky with a call that goes for you. So it's not about putting pressure on them to say, well, we have to win this game, have to win that. But in this we have to finish. We'd like to finish this block with more points than we have now, and then going into the new block, then we've got to come out of that in a better position than we go into it.
Good, move on to the section for 10:30, so you can start with Mark.
Thanks. Hi Nathan. I wanted to ask about Jimmy J. Morgan. Was it upsetting to lose him on the window to go to Chelsea?
Look, that's something. Jimmy was a young, really talented player for us. We like to keep all our talented players, but it got to a point where we weren't able to do that. So look, he goes with our blessing. It's not something we want to happen, but something that does happen in today's world. So Jimmy's been excellent for us as a young lad in terms of everything, and look, he goes without blessing, and that's all I can say really. I mean, look, he's not my player. He was an academy player, but we want to. There's a pathway here for all academy players to get into the first team. We would have liked to have done it a lot earlier, but with results. But as I said, the position we're in, we have to make sure that we do things correctly. So yeah, but look, it's one of those things in part and parcel of football.
With a lot of the other academy players going out on loan, I'm sure a lot of them could probably play in the Football League, but a few of them have gone down to non-league. You look at Lewis Payne going to Eastleigh, things like that. How important is it not only to be in men's football, to be in a place where they're going to get regular game time and actually make a difference and fight for playoffs and things like that, and actually play in the team regularly?
What you have to do is you have to go to a place where they're going to have development. Now, we've got Ryan Finnegan, for example, who we think is quite close to the first team in terms of his performance levels and things. Going to a place, now we could have gone to League One, you could have pushed him to League One, but he just goes to a good place. One, where he's going to get game time. Two, he's going to learn how to win games and have to put his body on the line because it's people's livelihoods at stake, and then go to a place where he can develop technically as well. So that's what we look for with development. Now with Lewis Payne, it's about getting a loan, but he'll go and he'll have to fight for points, and there'll be more emphasis on winning at Eastleigh than with a lot of things in mind, development football. But as long as one, they get a good experience, two, they develop, and then three, they come back here closer to the first team. That's what a loan does. Now, whatever level that is, there'll be a number of factors which decide that.
Obviously, with a load of players, academy players being out of the club and your squad getting bigger over the January window, you're going to look to use the B team a lot more to give those first team players that necessarily aren't getting the minutes, to keep them fresh in case they need to be called upon.
Well, what you have to do, you have to keep everyone's levels up. So whatever they do, whether you arrange games, whether they play in the B team, whatever it is, that you have to do that. Training will do that to a certain extent, but then once, if they need the match minutes, then we'll use whatever vehicle we can, and the B team is a good vehicle, or we'll arrange in-house friendlies where they'll get that minutes. But I'm sure with the games coming up and with what we have, then after this weekend they'll all be up to speed pretty much, apart from probably Stuart Armstrong and Juan Larios. Everyone will be up to speed, so that's the good thing, and they will have a real strong, deep squad to pick from.
Funny for me, about the FA Cup tie. I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because Luton has still got to get through a tie against Grimsby. But what was your reaction to that draw? Happy and excited potentially to be facing your old club? Well,
first and foremost, we're delighted we're at home. Secondly, we're delighted we're not against another Premier League side, not because we fear a Premier League side, but you want a bit of romance in the Cup and you want to play against something else, and it's always nice because otherwise it just becomes another Premier League game, basically. So we're happy for those two things. Obviously, I'll comment more when you know exactly who we have got, but whoever we do play will be a tough game for different reasons. Grimsby are a real tough side, and we'll come here with really buoyant and everything with nothing to lose, and it's a tough game whoever we play. But one, it's futile me commenting now on maybe a potential Southampton Luton thing, because one, it'll be disrespectful to Grimsby, and two, it might never happen.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, George. Hi, Nathan. I know you just spoke about Jimmy there, but just as a wider point of view, young players getting on the bench in the Premier League at 16 years old, and yet some of them are still deciding they want to go to a club that's spending hundreds of millions of pounds on the best young players in the world. Is that a surprise or a concern to you? Obviously, football's very different to when you came through.
Look, football's categorically changed since I came through, and things. The world's changed. People are in different place. It's just wrong for me to comment on motivation of young players or whoever it is. But all I can say is, look, Jimmy was a great lad when he was here. When he trained with us, you could see what he had. He wasn't ready for our first team yet, so whatever decision they make around that is fine. I don't think we should make a big thing of it in terms that we've got a fantastic academy, but we produce players. We've got a lot of young players here that need that development. You look at Romeo Lavia, you look at Sam Edozie, you look at Charlie now coming into that, Gavin Bazzuno. These are all really young players. So we've got enough that we need to develop, enough to get up to speed on a week-to-week basis. So it's a little bit difficult to comment, because we've got a lot of young players, one in our first team, two coming through. Yet we're sad to lose someone of his ability, but look, it got to a point where we couldn't, for whatever reason that is. And look, I'm sure that the club would be well compensated, so we can go again and invest in someone else. But look, all I can reiterate is a pathway here for people. And if people want to buy into that, then they will be given an opportunity. What we have to do is come through a sticky spell at the minute, so to make sure that we're still a Premier League club, and then we can afford to be a little bit more elaborate in our plans.
And you spoke about Duke car already, just maintaining rhythm today, so he's missed a week of games. But how important do you see him to your defence for the rest of the season?
I see them all. I mean, we wanted to get 5 so that we could play a 3, we could have options and so on. I spoke to Duje this morning about, look, this is the reasons why you can come, you can sit on a bench at Brentford, and maybe not get any minutes and so on. And then Monday morning he arrives having missed effectively 2 weeks of football, 2 weeks of game time and stuff, or we can go and do an hour in the B team. And that was the talk. It's not like, well, like, it's vital, and the reason he's playing today is because he is important, not because we don't want him in the first team. It's because he could play against Wolves and then he'd be in a better place from playing in today's game than he would sitting on a bus, being in a hotel, watching Netflix and everything else. It's a means to an end.
Appreciate that. You spoke about how you were thankful for your board. You spent a lot of money on deadline day. You've got 2 forwards that you really, really wanted. Have you spoken to them since then? I know the objectives are already obviously very clear. You want to stay in the Premier League, but have you had another conversation with them since?
No, not really. The objectives have stayed exactly the same. We make decisions. We don't make knee-jerk reactions. We haven't suddenly gone berserk here just to keep us up. These are players that Paul is a player that scored goals, one of the top scorers in Europe, like, and in terms of stuff, and he gives us something we haven't got. He gives us size and real aggression and something totally different to what this football club, as maybe Broja or Pelle was the last real big target size man that they had at the football club. So we've brought that in to supplement what we have with Sekou and Shea and Armour and so on. And then Kamaldeen was very sought after and is wonderful. He's 20 years of age, super exciting, pace, power, ability, can score goals, can create, and will only get better. So we've had a good window because it's people that will help us now, but also will safeguard the future of the football club.
It's interesting you also make a sort of comparison, not comparison necessarily to Pelle. He was somebody who the fans really love watching. Are you sort of excited in that same way to be able to have ball and a different outlet for your team?
Well, we are, because every single window, if we're there for 10 windows, you'll see this squad shape up so that at no point will we go into games where we're fearful of set plays or fearful of aggression or fearful of pace or fearful of anything, because we will get a rounded squad. Over time, I've built squads that have been really potent, can score goals, can play different systems, they're full of character, they're full of athleticism, that have assets to sell. In terms of my previous club, it's one of the best squads in the Championship, one of the most balanced squads in the Championship, with youth and experience, but pace and power. It's the quickest team in the Championship, and that's how we built. And then there's other people want to buy. They've sold 3 in the window. People like James Justin, Jack Stacey, Isaac Vassell all went for money in terms. So we want to build squads that, 1, are really valuable, 2, that can win games, 3, that fill us full of assets, but also have real continuity. Because again, it's important that we have players that are not just here for one season and get sold, or 1 season and then have to move on, but also ones that have real continuity. Tied like Brentford, tied like my previous club. Got players there that got promoted from League 2 that are looking to get promoted to the Premier League, and that shows good recruitment all those times, and that's what we have to do here.